Hi, my name is John Petty, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Growing Up in Flip Flops. This episode I've entitled Sweet and Sour. My hometown's most famous resident was Thomas Edison. In previous episodes, I've spoken about my adventures around his home and laboratory. After Mr. Edison died in 1931, several years later, some citizens thought it might be a good idea to celebrate Mr. Edison's life in Fort Myers. Well, anyway, what that evolved into was something called the Pageant of Light. And it has evolved over the years into basically a week-long celebration culminating with a major parade on the final evening of the week. That parade is generally believed to be the third largest parade in the state of Florida, number one being the Orange Bowl Festival, number two being the Gasparilla Festival in Tampa, and then the Pageant of Light. My involvement with the Pageant of Light is the two sides of this story, but also my father's friend and business partner in town portrayed Mr. Edison in the final parade for years up until his death. But anyway, there are several things that happen during the week, and one of them is a children's parade. This is the sweet side of the story. Basically, anybody could enter the children's parade, and parents put their children in costumes, did little miniature floats, whatever. Well, my mother went and got, I don't know where she found it, but somehow got her hands on an old railroad baggage cart, put down some sort of greenery over it to cover it, make it look like grass, and then found some straw hay and put that, and then made a little outfit for me in blue, and I must have been 2 or 3 years old, placed me on this decorated luggage cart with me in this little blue suit laying in the hay. And yes, I was the nursery rhyme, Little Boy Blue asleep in the hay. And there are pictures of me asleep during this children's parade being pushed down the street by some friend of my mom's. That's my only involvement in the children's parade. But anyway, the sour part of this, I really have to apologize for what you're about to hear. It's rather mean, but a group of my friends and I in high school, when the day of the big parade came, we went out to the grocery store and bought a sack of lemons. It's an odd thing, but you'll find out. I need to stop the story at this point and have a little bit of a digression to explain a psychological phenomenon. Everyone knows about the idea of yawns being contagious. Well, that contagious aspect is not limited to yawns. There are other behaviors that, when one person does it, subconsciously people will mimic, such as leg crossing. There are various other things that people will do, but that's just an example. There are many theories as to why this happens. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to tell you that there are these mimicked behaviors. And now that you know that little bit, back to our story. With a group of friends, we cut up the lemons into wedges and then put them in a bag and went to the parade. And we sat on the front row, right on the curb, so that we could be right up close to everything. There were marching bands from all over the state that came to the town to be in the pageant of light, in the Festival of Light parade. And what we would do when a band came, and when the section with the people with the clarinets or flutes, something like that, it didn't work obviously for drums or anything like that. Literally, when the moment that group was passing us, right in front of us, a group of friends, 4 or 5 of us, would each take a slice of, or a wedge of lemon, and hold it up to take a bite out of it. And just before we did, with the band, let's say the flute or the clarinet players, right in front of us, we would yell, "Hey, look!" And the group of us would simultaneously bite into a lemon. The psychological effect of that is, if you see somebody biting into a lemon and you don't have to, that sense is so strong of that sour taste, it will cause you to pucker your lips. Now, somebody playing a clarinet or a flute and they do this, they're playing along, da 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 da, and all of a sudden they hear us yell, "Hey, you," and see us, and all of a sudden it's completely screwed up their performance, and it took them several seconds, probably 10 to 15 seconds, to regain their composure while they had screwed up playing at least that section of players that looked at us when we yelled, "Hey, you," and took a bite into that lemon. I apologize to all the band members that we ever did this to. But it was just a harmless prank that we had a lot of fun with. And there's my sour side of the story. We never got in trouble for it. No band director came running around back to us yelling, "You kids better stop this," or whatever. But I'll tell you this, and I am telling this story, just kids don't go out and imitate bad behavior. God knows you might grow up and be like me. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode.